This episode is powered by OutPost Roasters, small batch, high quality coffee with soul. OutPost Roasters in Johnson City specializes in freshly roasted, small batch, ethically sourced, fair trade local coffee. That's what sets them apart from the big guys. They work directly with small farms and co ops to ensure responsible practices and rich, balanced flavor in every single cup. Whether it's early mornings or late nights, their 12-ounce bags deliver bold, smooth coffee at a totally fair price. Head to outpostroastersjc.com to explore their blends and single origins. Outpost Roasters, coffee that's definitely worth waking up for.
Mm-hmm. Wait, are
Yeah.
we starting? Like, this is part of it now?
We're rolling.
Okay,
We are
we're rolling.
officially rolling. So thank you, Mary, for coming today. I was actually trying to think of this morning how we met. And we literally, it was Brian and I were here for a Coffee Connections, right? At Summit. And then you were here too. And then we just like,
I know
I don't know, we just like
we
clicked.
became best friends. And
Yeah.
then that was when you were giving Brian a hard time about how he never is social and you're trying to make him be social. And so then
Story of
me
my
being
life.
such a social person, you should never tell me that because then it feels like my job to help that person because they really want to be a social person.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how we met, was at the Coffee and
Did I make him
Connections.
stand up and talk?
No, I think he waited in the hallway until after
Okay.
it was over, and then he came in, and then you were making him talk
Did
to
you?
people
I don't remember you waiting in the hallway. Yeah.
because you said, "I'm gonna start making him come to every other one
Yeah.
because I've got to get him out of his shell."
Well, the funny thing is that shortly after that, there was some event here and I couldn't go to it. And I was like, Brian, you gotta go.
It's
So
your
he went.
turn,
Yeah.
time to shine.
Yep.
And then he brought in like 7 clients,
Yeah.
and the rest was history.
And then he crushed it. No, well, the funny thing is that Dave and Sabrina, part of the team here at Summit,
Mhm.
were like, Brian, wait a minute, you're here without Leah?
Is
All
she
right.
okay?
Yeah, no, they were like, let's do this. We got you. Don't worry. If you fall, we'll get you. So it was cool. But
See, I would have helped Brian too.
yeah. So you weren't here then.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't here that day.
So do you want to give your name and what you do, I guess? YWCA.
Yes, I
What
would
does it
love to do
stand
that.
for? Go for the whole thing.
Okay, I'm gonna do the whole spill right now.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm Mary Massarueh, and I'm with YWCA in Bristol, and we are actually YWCA Bristol. No, that's not it. We're YWCA Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia, and so I am the Communications and Fund Development Manager, which
Did you
means
say fun?
that's how I've literally
Yeah.
begged to take that D out or all caps the fund because
Yeah.
I definitely developed the fund.
Yeah.
Duh. um, the money is the after part.
Yeah.
And so the way I look at it is I am basically almost a business development approach with community relations.
Mhm.
And, I think I've said it before several times is that, the YWCA has been a pillar organization for over 80 years. And so many people have no idea who we are
Mhm.
or what we do. I'm from Kingsport, born and raised. I had no idea until I walked through the doors a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. And, sometimes people will confuse us with another organization,
Yep.
or they'll have one point of reference that they'll think of. Oh, you do the prom dress sale, or I parked with you all for Rhythm and Roots, but there's
Yeah.
never just really knowing who we are or what we do. And so the way I think about YWCA is that we're almost like the community first aid kit. So we really are there for the unexpected and life's challenges. We focus on supporting women and children, and we do that through economically empowering programs and resources, which
Mhm.
sounds like a whole lot of words.
Yeah.
But what's really stuck with me since being there for a little over 2 years now is, breaking negative cycles that are very common for rural populations or low income populations. Um, Really focusing on being like that hand up instead
Mhm.
of the handout. And, our mission is eliminating racism, empowering women. And across the board, you will see that focus of empowerment at every different level. And so
Mhm.
that's what I really love about it. You may keep going into all the spills.
Well, so you just said instead of a hand out, it's a hand up. So I've actually never heard that before. I love that. Can you, like, just explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. And so that's one of the things is that, we have so many incredible nonprofits in our region alone.
So
And
many. It's awesome,
which is
actually.
great,
Yeah.
and we partner with so many of them, and so, while there are sayings that ring true for every organization,
Mhm.
I try to think of how do we, not necessarily stand apart either, but, it goes back to meeting people where they are,
Mhm.
and it's not a cookie cutter approach for everybody, which
Mhm.
is what I think is so beautiful about it. And so that's part of why I love YWCA so much because it aligns with my passions of wanting to help people who either can't help themselves
Mhm.
or who are trying so hard, but they just need that extra support to
Yeah.
get from where they are to. And, it's like one person, one moment can literally change someone's life.
Mhm.
And so, I'll just kind of go through some of how I feel like our programs do that. Um, we have our Moms Are Us program, who has been in the program for, I think, more than 30 years now,
Uh-huh.
almost 40 years actually, and it's the teen pregnancy and parenting support.
Mhm.
And so really just thinking about helping those young parents because safe to say most teen pregnancies are
Mm.
unplanned.
Yeah.
And so in simple terms, we're just really there to help the overwhelmed and underprepared.
Mhm.
And that moment or that decision doesn't have to define the rest of their lives. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to define in a negative way
Mhm.
what the future for their child is going to look like. And
Mhm.
so the Moms Are Us program is incredible because it's a 12-week like pre-parenting class. Honestly, there's stuff that they teach that I wish I would have known as,
Mhm.
I didn't become a mom until later in life. And
Mhm.
there's so many valuable things that they teach about, like what happens to your bodies, what can happen emotionally, even as simple as how to change a diaper. They
Mhm.
learn CPR,
Yeah.
and it's in every class that they come to. They get a free baby item. And then when they graduate the class, they get a free car seat.
Oh, cool.
And then the support doesn't stop after the baby's
Mhm.
born. There's actually support groups, and it's just like a really special community. And we even have moms who will come back to mentor the younger parents,
Yeah.
which I think is just super special.
Yeah.
But there's other ways, and that's like the giving back idea is that
Mhm.
they didn't just come through the program and move on with life. Like they realized if they didn't have that support, they wouldn't be where they are and
Yeah.
they want to give back. Cause some of our moms that we help don't have the support. And so
Yeah.
um our coordinators will actually be the ones taking them to the doctor's appointments
Mhm.
and in some situations are actually the ones while the baby is delivered because
Mhm.
they don't have someone else there.
Yeah.
And then our affordable childcare program, which is probably what we're most known for.
Mhm.
We're one of the few in the region that offer childcare based on income.
Mhm.
And so, you know, and I was on 11 waiting list whenever we had our child, and
Mhm.
it's just insane.
Mhm.
And then having to make the decision of, okay, do I want my entire paycheck to just go to pay for them to be in daycare so I can
Yeah.
work? Why am I working?
Mhm.
And so that's what I love that about that program. And we get people, educators, like kindergarten teachers all across the area who say we can tell when someone's been through the YWCA childcare program because they are so prepared for the classroom. And I love walking through the halls and seeing all the fun artwork they do. I mean, you can just
Mhm.
tell it's quality childcare.
Yeah.
And I guess I had never thought about how childcare is part of economic empowerment until I started working at the
Mhm.
YWCA. Because if people don't have access to childcare, but affordable childcare,
Mhm.
they can't work.
Mhm.
And so that's been um, really special to learn about, but it also just makes you that much more aware of the need and
Mhm.
how the needs just aren't being met, like
Yeah.
in our community, especially. And our Tech Girls program is our after school enrichment program, usually between the ages of 8 years old to 13 years old, or third grade to eighth grade. And while it is STEM focused, what's special about our program is most of the girls in the program have been referred to us by a guidance counselor or a principal at a
Mhm.
school. It's currently just for the Bristol, Tennessee school system.
Okay.
If we had the funding, we would have the program everywhere because we
Mhm.
get community partners constantly saying, when can we have tech girls at this school? It's
Mhm.
such a need. They see the difference that it is. Because and it is free. We provide free transportation. A lot of the girls wouldn't be able to participate in the program if we didn't have the transportation.
Mhm.
And so it's, they're considered at-risk girls or at a vulnerable age for
Yeah.
various reasons.
Uh-huh.
Whether it's just because it's a single parent and most juvenile crime happens between the hours of 3 to 6
Yeah,
p.m.
right after school. Mhm.
Or that's when they're more likely to become teen parents or
Mhm.
do drugs or become victims of crime, is between those hours.
Mhm.
So having that care for them is crucial.
Mhm.
And then we also have girls who have had, through no fault of their own, some very challenging circumstances happen where they just need that extra level of support.
Mhm.
And so being able to see them kind of find their voice and be empowered and the difference it makes is just incredible. And that's another thing I love about YWCA is you don't have to have children to be able to relate to our
Mhm.
mission. Either we've been a single mom or we know a single mom or our mom was a single mom or we were all teenagers at one point and
Mhm.
we remember just what the regular challenges are
Mhm.
that, you know, elementary school age going into, um, like the puberty age and just the regular challenges. And then if you add on top of that, maybe the single parent situation and one parent's in jail, or they have food insecurities, or they're not actually sure where they're going to sleep that night. So if
Mhm.
you add all of those other things on top of the regular challenges,
Mhm.
it can really, unfortunately define that child's life
Mhm.
um, through no fault of their own. And so, just constantly trying to meet the needs where we could help
Yeah.
change that.
Yeah. That and let alone introduce technology like as a digital age. Like it just all of those challenges and then technology because I didn't have any technology growing up. I mean, we had, you know, there were some people that had the giant cell phones because I'm like
Hmm.
old, like Zach Morris style, like Say by the Bell, but like very many people didn't have that. Some people had car phones, which was like,
Hmm.
whoa,
Yeah, you're like,
you have a
"Oh,
car phone?
you're that
What?
family.
Yeah. Why do you need that?
I wanna eat your snacks."
Yeah, I'm coming over after school. But it's just so funny, like how technology has changed. And I mean, I don't know if it's better or worse. And like I know that there's like a trend now of parents because you have a 4-year-old daughter and
Mhm,
we have a 4 and a 5-year-old boy. And like we're learning more that parents are like reverting back and they're doing like DVDs and they're doing things where so that like they're cautious about commercials that are being shown, to their kids and like all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I just feel like kids have so many more things being thrown at them today because of the accessibility that they have everywhere with technology. It's like
oh, it's
it's
scary.
exhausting
I'm
as
thankful I
adults.
look back oh, yeah, I look back and I think, "Thank God Facebook was just starting to be a thing when I was in high school." And it really is, and that's we've been pretty intentional with our four-year-old of
Yeah.
not introducing very many technologies, very little screen time. Um, but even just having the TV on what you think is an okay channel, and all of a sudden there's a horror movie trailer on, and the 4-year-old is like, "Mommy, I'm
Ah!
scared."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I walk in, I'm like, "I'm scared.
Yeah. What?
How did
Yeah.
this happen?"
Yeah.
So it's crazy, and like you said, they just have so many things thrown out at them,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, more and more we're seeing mental health
Mhm.
issues present themselves at even younger and younger and younger ages.
Mhm.
And so it's like anything we can do to try to help support them and get them over those hurdles is just really special.
Do you guys have any kind of tech for older women? I mean, I know a lot of older generations, they don't know how to use tech. And so that could almost be an opportunity to get the tech girls involved with like the older community and kind of like almost like a giving back. Because, how many times have we been with an older generation? They're like, I don't know how to do that on my phone. Can you do it? And it's like,
I
sure.
mean, I basically do that too.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's a
But you know
great
what I mean?
idea.
It could be something that like it would help enrich both of their lives because I feel like the elderly too are just like I hate seeing elderly people just sitting there and like watching TV
Or
or
not
like
knowing what to
yeah, or
do.
just like they don't have any other options. Like people don't go and visit them or they don't like it breaks my heart. It's like, oh man, like how can we get
How can
them?
we
That
help
that could
bridge
be
that
kind of cool
gap?
though, because then they could teach them some wisdom too and could
So
be
I
something
our
fun.
tech girls do kind of do things like that because part of one of the things I love about tech girls is that they do community service hours themselves. So it's back that whole, like the hand up, not hand out,
Yeah,
giving back. And so just last year alone, the tech girls did, I think, over 300 hours of community service.
cool.
And we have a couple partnerships with some assisted living homes, and
Mhm.
the girls will go perform music. And I
Oh,
do
cool.
think sometime, and they'll spend time with them. And
Yeah.
I know a couple of them have helped with their phones.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned that because we actually had a community partner recently asking about, possibly having the girls come help with that. So I think it
Yeah.
would be beneficial. And like you said, they would get to learn wisdom from the older generation
Mhm.
and actually learn how to have conversation because I think that's another thing that our
Mhm.
youth is struggling with for a thousand reasons.
Mhm.
Um, it's like we have the ability to be the most connected, but because of that, we're like the least connected. And
Mhm.
so I think that would be super special too, just to add in that component of here,
Yeah.
let me teach you technology. And then the older generation being like, let me teach you how to have a
Yeah, let me
conversation.
teach you how to not tech.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Exactly.
right way. How are you guys navigating it with your daughter then? I mean, you said that you're trying to limit things, but like how do you guys do it?
It's very challenging.
Mhm.
It's funny because sometimes I wish that I would have given her a little more technology because now when I'm like, mommy just needs a minute. And I'm like, can you just play a game on my mommy's phone? And she's like, nah. Like she literally, we got her a tablet just because
Mhm.
I thought, okay, this will help. We'll download educational games, and this
Mhm.
will, give me just a little bit of downtime to do the
Yeah.
things I'm not doing that I should be, like
Yeah.
laundry or dishes. And so she'll get on it, and it's just she has no interest in it.
Mhm.
I mean, she honestly, if she has a phone, she's wanting to take videos of herself.
Yes. Videos and pictures. That's pretty much. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and so but it is funny because she'll get into I think the challenge for us is more when she gets hyperfixated on a show that I don't necessarily feel is the most healthy for her brain.
Mhm.
That like some of the shows are very overstimulating
Mhm.
compared to others.
Mhm.
And so those are the ones that's what she wants. And so if she doesn't
Yeah.
get to watch it, then that's more of I think the challenges that we experience.
Yeah.
Um, but I do see I totally get it
Yeah.
too.
There was an article. Um, I don't know. Now I don't remember anything being on the spot, but what I do remember about it is that it talked about how kids shows these days, like the example it gave was SpongeBob
Mhm.
and how SpongeBob's like super cuts and super fast and and it is overstimulation for the brain for kids because it's like doot, 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 and everything is like really fast and fast cuts. And like because now kids these days it's like, shorts or things
Mhm.
like that. And so it's like quick bursts of the stimulation. And it was talking about how kids need slower shows. And if you look at like shows today,
Mhm.
and after reading that article, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Because then I was thinking about shows like when I was little, or the shows, and then I kind of did a test like with my boys. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put this one on and see how they react. And then I'm gonna put this one on and see how they react. And so if it's like a slow show, like, like Winnie the Pooh is slow. There's
Mhm.
nothing fast about Winnie the Pooh. Mr. Rogers wasn't fast, like slow. And you can still have like even Bluey, I would consider
Mhm.
as a slow show. It's not like quick, 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 like super fast, like SpongeBob
Or like
ish.
such like extreme like colors too.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see, to read that article and then be like, "Huh, okay," because that stimulation and all of those things coming at, and then to even ask my boys and just be like, "Okay, so would you rather watch A or B?" And then to see what they choose, and 9 times out of 10, they end up choosing the soft or the slow, more relatable show,
Probably
and
because
then
their brains aren't having to process so
well,
much.
even so, like they love Ninja Turtles, like the old
Mhm.
school Ninja Turtles, like the cartoons that we watched, like from the 80s. Like I
Mhm.
have a few seasons of those, and even watching those, like it's not fast because it was the 80s and the 90s, so like it wasn't like
Yeah.
that. But wait, when did SpongeBob come out, Brian? Because you watched SpongeBob when you were little, right? But it wasn't always. I would say the first show that I remember back in my day would be Ren and Stimpy. That was, like, the first show that was, like, kinda gross
Mhm.
and fast cuts and, like, just I don't know, it was pretty controversial when it came out too, which was, you were probably way too young
Well,
for
I still wasn't
Ren and
allowed to
Stimpy.
watch it even when in my youth.
Yeah. When was it? 99? Oh, okay.
SpongeBob?
Yeah. Well, even The Simpsons wasn't fast cuts. The
Mhm.
Simpsons was just which we watched The Simpsons, but I was very surprised that we were allowed to watch The Simpsons. But my parents had watched it too with us, and I mean, I know that The Simpsons has evolved now. Like I haven't watched it in forever, but it was just so cleverly written. Like you had Conan writing for it, and you had these people writing for it, and they were always kind of like teetering on the edge of something,
Mhm.
But it's just so weird. It's hard as parents to like find the boundaries, look at how we were raised. And Brian and I had a conversation about this the other day. Like, it's sad because we want our children to have similar upbringings, right?
Mhm.
And we want them to have those fun experiences, but they can't because we don't live in the same in the same age.
Right.
Like I would just go to my friend's house on my bike and be like, "Peace out. I'll see you later." And if she's home, she's home. And if she's not, I'll just come back.
Right.
Now, I mean, there was like, trafficking and like terrible things that happened like back in the day. Obviously, it's always been around. But like now, I feel like everything is magnified. And I would just be terrified to
Mhm.
have my boys do something like that. And even like at the
It's like even in
park.
our fenced-in yard where I
Yeah.
don't have a window where I can do dishes, it's like, "No,
Yeah.
you can stay on the back porch until I can get" you know what I mean? And we live in what I would consider a safe neighborhood,
Yeah.
but even at that point, because you just realize how quickly stuff can happen and
Well, it's exhausting though too, like because I want them to like we want our kids to have a normal childhood,
Mhm.
but like what is normal for 2026? Like it
Exactly.
is.
Or you wanna keep them from doing things until a certain age, but then if all of their classmates have it's funny because I was talking to somebody else the other day about it, and they were like, "You know, we were the, uncool parents because we wouldn't let our daughter have a phone until she was, like, 12 or 13."
Mhm.
And then at that age just seems to be getting, like, earlier and earlier and earlier.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of articles about that too, about studies that even earlier than 16 shouldn't have cell phones.
Well, I think part of,
So,
talking about the navigating the challenges of the technology is I actually listened to this podcast that was talking about this lady who had done research on technology and
mhm.
children's brains.
Mhm.
And the stuff I heard from that podcast, I could not unhear. And she even talks about, it's not to shame parents
Yeah.
because basically, technology has evolved so fast that
Mhm.
it's not that any of us had any manuals of, okay, you give your child this, this is what you should do, this is what
Mhm.
you should focus on. And so it's, the teenagers now have been born with technology basically
Mhm.
right in front of them.
Mhm.
And so she was talking about how, it's not to shame parents, but now that the research has been done, we have to do better, even if that's, reducing the time by 1 hour a day.
Mhm.
Which I'll share that podcast with you, but I'll warn
Yeah.
you, you can't unhear the research.
No, that's fine. I'd love to hear it. What other nuggets were there from it that you remember?
So I don't want to get into super. What was interesting is the podcast was actually about. Have you heard of the Naked Marriage podcast?
Neck and marriage?
Naked Marriage. I say naked weird.
Oh,
Naked.
naked.
Naked. I always get it backwards.
Brian's dying back there. What was she saying? Naked. That's right, because you're from Kingsport. So
Nate.
you're a
Well, I
Tennessean.
will say that my Kingsport friends have always made fun of me for that word and other words actually. So don't
Theater.
yeah.
Naked. How do
N-
you say oil?
oil.
Okay. So she gets that one. What's any other ones,
Bowl.
Brian? Diesel.
Diesel.
There,
Bowl. Bowl is one that I don't say.
there's this, I don't know who she
Salmon.
is. There's this hilarious girl. I don't know where she's from, but she just does like shorts and she does like an Appalachian word of the day.
Oh, that's funny.
And her accent is super thick. And one like one of our favorite ones, we just died laughing. She's like, today's word is diesel. I don't need new pants. Diesel fit. And then like Brian and I, it's my accent. I did a terrible job. Did I? I butchered it. But it was just hilarious. So like we love it's okay. It's
I was
super
trying to,
cute.
there
I
was
just
one where it said, somebody said mayonnaise, and it was like mayonnaise, a lot of people in here. It probably doesn't go along with that, but
Yep,
something
I get
about
it. I get it.
mayonnaise, a lot of, or one that I can't, people will say wash. I don't say
Yeah,
wash.
wash your clothes.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, that I'd say that's definitely more northern. So Brian's from the Northeast. He's from Connecticut. And there's even like Brian's family has some thick accents too. But it's like, because you have Massachusetts up there and then Rhode Island. The Rhode Island accent's just weird though, right, Brian? It's just and then Massachusetts obviously like pack your car. Like their R's like don't exist. And it's so funny because with our youngest Levi, he's 4. And R is like, there's an actual statistic of how many kids. I think it's like
Hmm.
70% of kids growing up have trouble with the letter R specifically. I was one of them. I had to go to speech
My
class
brother was too.
for 2 weeks. Yeah. And so he doesn't say his R's right now. And it's kind of like, Massachusetts. And Brian's like, I love it. And I'm like, no. We're like, no. But I actually talked to a speech therapist the other day. I had a thing at a women's, not a retreat, but a women's thing at church on Saturday. And I was like, so my son's 4 and he can't say his R's. So do I need to have your business card? And she was like, no, no, no. 4 is totally a normal age for them to still have trouble with the R. She's like, but it's until they get like 6. If he's not
Hmm.
pronouncing it by like age 6, then you need help with that
Meanwhile,
R.
Brian's like secretly training him on how to not use R's.
Yeah. Park the car.
It's funny about accents. My husband would die if he knew I was sharing this, so I'm going to share it.
Okay. Yes. Wait,
Um,
where's he from?
so a little bit of everywhere. He wasn't in the
Okay.
military, but you would think maybe he was with all the moving around.
Yeah.
He's born in Florida. He lived most, I guess, of his adult life, I would say, in Chattanooga, but he lived in DC some,
Okay.
and now he's in Easton,
Yeah.
Jonesboro. Um, but he mimics accents.
When he's talking to somebody?
Yes, and he
Okay.
has no idea he's doing it. And I
Yeah.
have to literally tell people, I promise you, he is not making fun of you. So you can imagine on our honeymoon in Jamaica. And he does it. It's almost like he's almost like a parrot, which I've heard that's a sign of high intelligence, which I will say he is pretty highly intelligent.
That's hilarious.
But if we're around someone with a pretty thick country accent, I mean, it picks up real quick.
Mhm.
Like, well, his brother lives in Philadelphia, so when we're up there,
Wooder.
I mean, it's insane how quickly his accent changes. And yeah, maybe I'll introduce you all and try to really step up your
Okay. Brian will.
authentic accent, and let's see if he does it.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from the Midwest, so I can bust out, oh, yeah. I can slip back into a little bit of a
Please do.
Norwegian accent.
Please do this.
But my mom is the same way, though. My mom will mimic somebody's accent and do that. So what we should do.
Does she know she's doing it?
Do you think she knows she's doing it? No? Okay.
Because he has no clue. Because I'll even have to somehow I mean, Jamaica was probably like the most drastic
Yeah.
change in
That's
real
a-
time.
That's a difficult accent to just like pull out too and just.
Oh, but he did it incredibly.
Did he?
He missed his calling. He should have gone into acting or something.
Yeah, or voiceovers or like something.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm.
Or at least like a traveling comedy show or
Yeah.
something.
Well, now I'm going to hang out with your husband and I'm going to.
And you're gonna really dull
we're
it.
going to try. We're going to do it. You good? You got to practice though, because he doesn't have an accent, even though he's from there. He doesn't really. And I wouldn't say sometimes my accent will come out, like you'll hear it in my O's or my A's a little bit, but I've been gone from the Midwest for so long now that like
If you
you
were
know?
around it, you could pick it up and it would sound authentic,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But I left there before my junior year of high school. So like I was pretty young. So
and then
maybe
you
it was
moved
thicker.
here.
I don't know. Was it thicker when you first met me? No, I moved to Connecticut. I've lived all over too. Um, but when people ask me where I'm from, I say Wisconsin because that's where I was born. Because otherwise it just gets confusing. Then I have to like list all the states that I've lived, and it's like I don't. So then a couple years ago, I was like, when people ask me where I'm from, I'm just gonna say Wisconsin because that's where I was born.
I think my husband he'll say Chattanooga because that's where he lived the longest,
Okay,
which is interesting.
yeah. So going off that,
But he
oh my
says
gosh,
Chattanooga. That's another Chattanooga.
Nuga,
Nuga.
is that the appropriate way to say Chattanooga?
According to him, but literally everybody
Okay.
else I've talked to, it's not.
Well, because I know that there's certain even there's streets here, and
Mhm.
there's different parts. Even yesterday, Brian was like, "Is it Elizabethton or what did you say? Elizabethton? Is that what you said?" And I said, I think it's Elizabethton, but once again, we're transplants, so I'm not really sure.
No, I'm
It is
Elizabethton.
BETH though,
Yeah,
Elizabethton, right?
Elizabethton.
Yeah.
According to me, Elizabethton.
Well, I mean, you're born and raised in Kingsport.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm also, well, I guess geographically challenged doesn't really go. So it's Elizabethton. We'll go
Mm.
with Elizabethton.
Okay,
Final
that's
answer.
the official
Mhm.
East
With the
Tennessee.
Mary stamp on it.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, how did we get on this subject? You were about to tell me
Well,
about
I was going to tell
something.
you about the nuggets for
Technology.
technology.
Done. Okay. Do
Okay,
it.
so I'm not going to throw out specific numbers because I'm going
Okay.
to get them wrong.
Yeah.
But is it naked?
Yeah. Naked.
Naked podcast.
I'll
Um, na-
translate for you when
na-
you say that.
naked marriage podcast.
Okay.
It's actually a husband wife team, and they cover all topics that would be relevant to like Christian marriages. I
Mhm.
love them; they're hilarious. Almost as cool as the two of you, of course. And so they actually had a lady come on to talk about technology in relationships and how
Mm,
to set boundaries and how it can cause problems,
mhm,
things like that. And she actually was the one that did the research about technology and children.
mm,
And so the conversation shifted to that.
mhm,
And she was talking about how they studied the brains of children interacting with technology
mhm,
and the parts of the brain, especially from, the ages 1 to 3, one to
mhm.
four, when
Yep.
like 80% of our brains are formed, the parts of the brain that lit up when they were doing the technology thing and the magnitude that the parts light up is the same as when someone's doing heroin.
Wow.
And, another statistic that she shared on there was just how much higher increase there is of the likelihood of someone in their youth committing suicide if they watch X amount of hours or have screen time for X amount of hours a day. And it wasn't like 20 hours. It was much lower. And I'm not going to say the exact number because I don't want to get it wrong, but it was a number that I think is the common number these days.
Mhm,
And I feel like, it was like 30% or higher of an increase in the likelihood of them at least considering suicide
mhm,
at a young age. And so just and she was going into back to the whole, the way the brains lit up. She was like, think about it. If you if your child's on technology, are they getting frustrated when they're on it? Do you think they're more agitated when they're using it or are they constantly asking for it when they don't have it?
mhm,
It's very much addictive behavior.
mhm,
If you take away their technology, are they just pitching a fit?
mhm,
And I will say that when our daughter has had more technology than she's usually used to getting. It's almost the same as more sugar than she's used to getting. Like I can tell a huge behavior
yeah.
shift. She's more agitated, more whiny,
Mhm,
more, just more negative behaviors. And so that was another thing for me where I don't know if I would have made the correlation had I not listened to that podcast.
mhm.
But it is such a significant difference to where it's kind of why we did it too.
Yeah. Oh, you have to send that to me so I can hear it and
Definitely.
listen. That's it's scary though too, but it's hard. I mean, it's
And
just
that's
real.
what she was saying. She was like, parents, we're not trying to shame you because
Yeah.
it's stuff we didn't know. But now the research has been done
Mhm.
and we have to do better.
Yeah. Well, and that is the hard part because it's never about trying to shame because I mean, gosh, being a parent is hard.
Hmm.
And especially like if you're working and you're coming home and all of these things, and it's difficult. And sometimes you just need that 5 minutes. And it's like, well, gosh, like what the heck did our parents do when they needed those 5 or 10 minutes, or like what? And it's just so
I think
it's
part of it too that makes it hard to do the balance, because I didn't even think about this, is, even if you limit the screen time in the mornings and the evenings at home,
mhm,
most kids in school, they're getting screen time at school.
mhm,
And so it's like you don't even think about that's also considered screen time, as
mhm,
if they're on the laptop doing work.
mhm,
So then it's almost like you have to kind of minimize even more what they're getting outside of school, because
mhm,
they're already getting it so much at
mhm.
school.
Well, and I think the hardest part too, you have a 4-year-old, and so like to teach our little boys how to play like a card game, or they can't read yet. Like we're still teaching them how to read, and so they can't read independently. So it's even harder too, I think, when you have a very dependent child,
Mhm.
because they can't, like they're learning how to do individual play and how to play with other friends or do things like that. And so I think that adds like a whole nother level of frustration too,
Mhm.
because it's like, oh my gosh, I just need 10 minutes. And so it's so easy to say,
The Bluey
here you go.
episode.
Yeah,
Mom just
Bluey.
needs 20 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Here you go. Brian, isn't there a lawsuit right now with social media,
There's several actually.
right? Like YouTube and
That
something
has to do
else.
with
Yeah, Facebook and
mhm,
YouTube.
that has to do with, the addictive nature
Yeah.
of social media. I
Yeah.
think Australia has banned social media for if you're under 18, which I am behind
Yeah.
that. I think
Yeah.
it's amazing. And so hopefully there will be more that take suit. But even just thinking about, children's sleep patterns. A
Hmm.
lot of them are used to going to sleep while watching it. But
Hmm.
if they're just watching the shorts, then it's just them scrolling through it. So when are they actually winding down to go to sleep?
Yeah, they're not. We don't keep our cell phones in our bedroom when we
Hmm.
sleep, just because we don't like the EMFs. I found a clothing brand, which is very interesting. And they have like beanies, and they have blankets, and they have sweatshirts and all kinds of things. And they're all EMF blocking. But they're like, dude, a beanie's like
That's what I was
$85.
gonna say. They're
And it's
so
like awesome. I would love to have that. And they have it in kid sizes too. And I would love to have that for my kids. But for a family of four, like you're talking several $100s. And I know like your
no
health, it's like the
no
trade-off.
vacation.
It's so difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so hard. No vacation this year, kids, but here's a beanie.
And we were talking about that the other day too. It goes hand in hand with food
Yeah.
too. It's my husband and I were just talking about what do we do? Like it's almost impossible to
Hmm.
protect her, even if we were to try to go as clean as possible in what's in our house and what she's eating. It's almost impossible
Hmm.
to, and some of those things you can eat once and it's with you the rest of your life.
Hmm. Yeah. Forever chemicals.
I think that in the technology podcast that she talked about before it like switched into children, it was just talking about technology in general. She made a comment about how our bodies were not designed to live in the world we live in today.
Hmm.
And it just really stuck with me because just the advances of technology, we weren't meant to sit at a desk every day. We were meant to work for our food
Hmm.
and walk to get water or, things like
Hmm.
that. And so many health issues come from that.
Well, I think that's why so many people these days want to homestead and go
Mhm.
back to those things. But I mean, another hard part about that is that it's expensive. In order to be a homesteader, or your own farmer, like you really have to be financially independent in order to do that, because it's so hard
Mhm.
to acquire land. It's hard to figure out how to cultivate it, like do all those things. Of course, it would be awesome. Like we've got chickens. That's how
Hey, that's
far
homesteading
we've.
right there.
I actually should have brought you a dozen eggs.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but
They dang it. They're hilarious though. Like we absolutely love them. It'd be so fun to have like goats, and there's animals and all kinds of stuff around us, right? But it's just like it would be awesome to be able to do that and like teach our kids how to do that. But it's once again, it's just like
how do
it's
you do
not it's
that?
not accessible. It's not, unfortunately. But
Our tech girls got to go on an alpaca farm visit and learn
was
all
it
the
local?
things. Mhm.
No way.
You probably Josh Ketcheran, do you know Josh? I
Mm-mm.
met him at Coffee and Connections, but
Okay.
he actually came to one of our mission encounters And we were going through the tech girls' room because that's part of the mission counter is you get to
Yeah.
tour the facility.
Yeah.
And we were talking about all the different activities the girls do and how they can even there's a book, there's like extracurricular within the tech
Mhm.
girls program where, they have to do homework time, they have to do this, but then they can choose to do book club or knitting club. And so we were talking about the different knitting club and how people will donate yarn and like high quality yarn, there's a difference.
Yeah.
And he said, I could bring you some alpaca fiber. And just for all the listeners, it's fiber, it's not yarn.
Okay.
They will tell you.
They'll get really mad.
Hmm.
Okay.
And so they actually donated alpaca fiber for the girls to use with their
What does
knitting
it look
things.
like? What does it feel like? I don't
I
think
don't
I've ever.
remember actually, but it's not yarny.
Is it thinner?
Maybe, but from that, they were like, would the girls even want to come to the alpaca farm? And so it's like, it's cool because they were getting introduced
Yeah.
into that side of it.
Mhm.
And they had actually just had some alpaca babies born.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, and I think there were other things on that farm too. And so, I mean, just in that situation, the
Yeah.
girls could learn, oh, this could be a possibility. Maybe one day I want to have an alpaca farm,
Yeah. I'm gonna
which I
hang out
do
with some
think
alpaca.
I think there's, a trend in bringing back options in schools. I know of
Mhm.
several high schools having almost agriculture focuses
Mm.
and classes that they're teaching on how to grow a garden, um, which is funny to think about because I mean, I helped in the garden growing up,
Mhm.
but and my daughter's super interested in it, and my
Mhm.
husband got into it a couple of years ago during COVID because I'm pretty sure
Yeah, everybody did.
everybody did. But it's the consistency part that I really struggle with, and that's part of being self-sufficient
Yeah.
is I mean, it was great when we had tomatoes and peppers and all those things, but
What all did you grow?
well, I can't take any credit for it because I
Was it
did
outside or inside?
outside.
Okay.
Um, but we had peppers, tomatoes, onions. Okay, I did do onions, and my dad even told me, "This is how far you need to space them apart." And I was like, "This doesn't seem efficient at all." And so I did like 4 times the amount because we had one of those standing beds,
Mhm.
and because Jeff, my husband, like, did all the other vegetables, squash, and I was like, "I got the onions." And so I was started planting them how my dad said to, and I was like, "This doesn't isn't efficient at all." So I put like 4 times the amount in this size of a bed. They never got bigger than like a dime.
Were
I don't
they
actually think they grew at all.
were they strong? Were you able to eat any?
So we had a giant thing of onion soup. Because my husband also he's the one that cooks, thank God. And, so he made this delicious soup because that's literally I don't think they grew at all.
Yeah.
I think the tops grew, not the
So,
bottoms. It was so funny.
life lessons, right? Our
Mhm.
parents are
It's
always
a
right.
yeah. I told my dad and he thought it was the funniest thing.
Well, so you're gonna give it another go. Is there anything from that you kept that you're still planting today?
No, we have, like,
Okay.
really sad tomato sticks in the dirt, but the dirt's still in there.
Was it just like a one season thing you said during COVID? Or did you a few
I think he did
seasons?
it 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Actually, maybe 3, but the problem is that the first year, it all did really good, and
Mhm.
then the second year, not so much,
Mhm.
and then last year, hardly nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, "Meh."
Yeah, it's
We do
I
try to support local
yeah,
farmers.
yeah.
I'm like,
There
I'll get your healthy food that
yeah.
you have spent time growing."
There's so many good farmers markets, and
Mhm.
so like we're so blessed to have all of that super close. And then also there's that new meat plant, like a meat packaging place in Telford, so that's not too far for fresh meat and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because the farther that your food travels, the worse it is for you,
Right.
right? And so a lot of times places it comes frozen and on a truck from who knows where.
Who knows where?
Yeah, and so
The
we're
manufacturer doesn't even know where.
yeah, they don't even remember.
Mhm.
And so the closer you can get things, I've always wanted to be able to plant and do more of that. I just finding the time for it is really difficult. And I know
That's
that
why last year and the year before they didn't do as good because, his schedule picked up and we maybe Sloan and I maybe watered it, like, every couple of
Yeah.
weeks when she would want to go play in the water.
Well, potatoes are supposed to be really easy to you can just kind of set it and forget it with potatoes. You
That's
can
good
try
to
that.
know,
Also pumpkins. We had pumpkins last year because our son is very obsessed with pumpkins. No matter the time of year,
as he should be.
pumpkins, loves them. And orange is his favorite color. Like he just everything about pumpkins he loves. And so we tried to
And they're so cute when they grow too.
they are really cute, but they oh my gosh, do they take over. So you need to like you can just plant a few and also don't plant them too close. They'll push things up, they'll go crazy. Like it's
Ooh, does that mean that we wouldn't have to mow wherever they are?
pretty much, yeah, because they just take over.
That's a selling point for
And they're a
me.
late bloomer, like so, or a late plant. So you plant it in like August for here, and then you have them for Halloween.
What are some other things that would take over the yard so we'd have less yard to mow?
Oof, that's a Brian question because Brian grew up. Don't look at me with your hands in the air, Brian. Like if
I guess I
Brian,
could just plant the kudzu vine and let it take over our yard, but it would take over the whole neighborhood.
you could also just get a couple goats and they'll take care of
I
your
tried
yard.
and the husband said no. But if they showed up, that's what I should do because our puppy 10 years ago that we weren't allowed to have when we rented just showed up. And I'm doing
Oh,
quotation marks in case you can't see me, because I found out the true story of that. So maybe we should just have goats show up.
so wait, what is this story of just a dog showing up with quotations? You can't just.
Oh man, let me see if I can give you the skinny version of it. Um, so we were renting a house and we really wanted a dog, and our landlord said absolutely not. And so I said, well, it's just a sign. We need to save up and leave, like move out, get our own place. And so one day I was coming home from work from Johnson City, and this is when my husband was working at the chop house in Kingsport. And I said, I'm going to the store. Do you need me to pick up anything? And he texted back, wet dog food. And I said, that's a really weird
Yeah.
craving. And he said, I need you to come to the parking lot of chop house and get something. And it was a puppy. Of course, the minute I held her, we weren't getting rid of her, but
Mhm.
I had to still pretend like I was so mad. Um, and so he told me the sob story about how somebody had just abandoned this puppy on our porch at our house, which was like a heavily trafficked road. She would have definitely gotten ran over. And
Mhm.
so he didn't know what to do. And so he just took her until I got off work. And this whole sob story. So I go down to PetSmart because I mean, the last time I had a puppy was when I was a child and my parents handled the responsibility part. I
Yeah.
just played
Yeah.
with it. So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't even know what you get when you have a puppy. So I
Mhm.
go down to PetSmart, walk around the store, like, okay, I guess I need food, toys. And literally as I'm going through the checkout line at the PetSmart, she said, oh, I saw her earlier today. And I said, "Oh, you saw a puppy that looked like her?" "No, I saw her and the whole litter. There was a couple in the parking lot giving them out for free." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." She's like, "Yeah, a man in a chop house uniform came by with her." And I was like, "You are so busted." Like at
Wow.
least so what did he learn from that?
Yeah.
At least hide the evidence better. And so
What
that's how we ended up with her.
what kind of a puppy is it?
So we think she's part Papillon King Charles Cavalier Spaniel.
That's a lot.
It is, and she's very unique and beautiful, and we told her the other day that she still has it because we were at a restaurant and so many people came up because she's just unique looking.
How big is she?
About 13
Oh,
pounds.
okay. It's just a little guy.
But she has very long, like fluffy hair and a
Mhm.
long, like curly tail, and she's just a diva. We've literally had a stranger tell us she must be a diva because of the way she walks and
Mm.
stuff.
That like free puppies in parking lots is a thing that we've definitely noticed more moving here
Hmm.
than any other places. And like we haven't had a dog for several years. Like we had she was a Commodore Doodle mix. So she was huge. You could pet her standing up. I mean, I'm not tall. I'm 5'3", but like I could just she was huge and like
She's like a
she
miniature
could put
pony.
yeah, you could she would put her paws like up on Brian's shoulders and he would like hold her almost like they were slow dancing cuz like that's she was 125 pounds. Like she was stinking huge. And she lived to be 11 and so
Oh
it's which
wow.
is pretty old
Hmm.
especially for like a really big dog. And so when she passed away, we were just like beside ourselves and our boys like Judah was 1 little over 1 and a
You were like, we want to protect you from this heartbreak.
yeah, well and then Levi was just like, when we had to put her to sleep, he was in the room cuz we were all in the room together to say goodbye. He was just in his chair just like what's going on, you know? So they were like they were too young. And
Mhm.
we've shown them pictures of them, you know, like drinking a bottle and leaning on Riley or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the past couple of years, like the boys have been like, we want a dog, we want a dog. And they love like Clifford, the big red dog. And they're just like, we want a dog, guys. And it's hard for us because we're like, oh my gosh. You know, I always wanted a dog growing up, but I didn't have one.
Mhm.
And Brian always grew up with tons of animals all over, like whatever. They had a farm, like they did their thing. And so we want them to have a puppy because like we just know how much fun they would have. And there's just something special for
Mhm.
kids about
To grow up together
having a dog.
almost,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, but it's hard too, because it's like, oh my gosh,
It took me, I
another thing
think
to take care of. It's
yeah,
so hard.
it took
Like,
me 10 years to when my childhood dog passed before we got Mila.
yeah.
We just had to have one put down the end of January,
Oh, I'm
and,
sorry. This year?
mhm,
Oh,
and, it was she was a black lab,
mm,
and, I didn't you know, Sloan had a really hard time with it imagine, like, we had a really hard time with it too,
mm-hmm,
and I was doing the usual, like, post pictures on Facebook, and so I was just trying to go find pictures, and that's when I got even more emotional because it literally was watching because we had her for about 9 years, I
mm-hmm,
guess, and so, looking at the pictures of when I got pregnant, and then there's a
mm-hmm,
picture of Aurora literally staring at this little 8-pound baby,
mm-hmm,
and then I have so many pictures of them, like, sleeping where Aurora's
mm-hmm,
head is, like, as
mm-hmm.
big as her,
Yeah.
and then the pictures of where Mila is so small, Aurora was overweight, she was,
Mm-hmm,
like, 84 pounds, shouldn't have been, but Sloan could be so rough with her and, just wrestle her, that she couldn't do with Mila, and so just watching the picture so I get it too, that's the heartache that you would run to, but it is something about little kids growing up with doggies
I know. I know.
or cats.
I was going to say, I was looking at Brian to see what his face was like.
Is he saying no?
I mean,
What about a bunny?
no, too much hair, messy. I mean,
See, Mila
so
sheds a lot. Both of our dogs shed.
and that we can't do that. We
Yeah.
cannot do, and that was what was great about Riley is a Commodore. So the Commodores are the dogs with dreadlocks
Okay.
that you see, you know, that look like mops, especially when they lay down. But
Oh,
we
and they
we
don't
always kept
shed.
her hair short. Yeah, they
Hmm.
don't shed at all. Um, and we because we can't do I can't do dog hair. It's too much. And then like
It is so much.
to keep up. But the great thing about the chickens is that they're outside, they do their thing. We can go on vacation and the chickens are fine. We just need somebody. And when it's really easy to tell people, hey, you want free eggs, then go get eggs from the coop. Like
And then
that's
they're checking
easy.
in on
Yeah.
them.
And then like they don't care. They're just doing their thing. They're chickens. They're just hanging out. They have some corn or some food, they're good and fresh water.
Right.
It's just like your whole life definitely changes when you add a dog, let
Hmm.
alone, you know, 100-pound dog.
Well, then you guys would officially be outnumbered too if you wanted to go on vacation because
What do you mean?
like if you wanted to take your dog with you on vacation, then
Mm,
you'd have the 2 boys and the dog that
yeah,
you'd have to keep up with.
yeah,
Because that was big for us, like, we used to take our 2 dogs everywhere,
mhm,
and then when Sloan came around and got mobile, it was like, we can't keep up with these 2 dogs and this wild child." And
yeah,
so now that since Aurora's passed, we've started taking Mila places again, but now where she's older, she, like, is scared and doesn't wanna leave the house, but
yeah. Well, she's tiny that you can just carry her.
yeah.
I mean, it would be the boy's responsibility, but they'd have to get a little bit stronger
Mhm.
because, you know, 100-pound dog's gonna
So you would get a
run
big
and
dog
do.
again.
Yeah, yeah. We're big dog
Yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah,
But
Mila was a small like, the first Jeff used to call them step-on dogs,
yeah.
and I was like, "I can't believe you got a you're the one that doesn't like small dogs."
Hmm.
And, so I've always had big dogs too.
I mean, free though in a parking lot. It's pretty hard to pass that up.
I think what happened was they were breeders, and then there was an oops.
Oh,
Because I don't feel like in this area, especially Papillons are that common,
okay.
or the king I see more of the King Charles I always get the name wrong.
Hmm.
King Cavalier
I don't know.
Charles
Do you know Brian
Spaniel.
King Charles? What? Cocker spaniel. They're pretty cute though,
She was the tricolor. But so that's what I think happened was they were breeders and ended up with.
and they just wanted to give him some good homes.
Mhm.
So you said that you were coming home from Johnson City at that point.
Mhm.
So where were you working then?
At that time, it was Saratoga Technologies.
Okay. How did you end up at YWCA?
Well, so I've always had a heart, I feel like, for missions and nonprofits. And
Mhm.
so my background is marketing, public relations. I've done sales support. I even sold heat pumps at one point.
Wow, that's very random.
Very random. And I was the person, and I guess that's why I was so relatable because I was like, trust me, I get it. Changing a filter, who wants to do that?
Yeah.
I have frozen our heat pump multiple times because I'm not changing a filter. Like I
Mhm.
get it. You know what I mean? So I guess I could just really relate with
Mhm.
the common folk.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
Um and then yeah, I learned a lot about stuff that kind of still is with me. So if you ever
Mhm.
need help in that department, I'll help you, but still get an expert.
Yeah.
Um
That's right. Brian used to be a home inspector.
See, that's
And
very
he
handy.
grew up like building houses. So
Right.
like any of that stuff, like I just
You
always
don't
default to
yeah.
Brian. I'm like, I don't need to know. I got Brian for that. So I don't know how to do it. That's why he's got strengths and I have strengths. But yeah, so heat pumps, you know a lot about heat pumps, right?
Probably more than you wish.
Oh gosh.
He's the I don't know guy. And then I kept just feeling this pull. Like the perfect job for me would have been, if I was at a corporation to be that community relations
Hmm.
person, is how to connect, what we want to do and give back to the community and
Hmm.
help nonprofits who are helping those in our community. And so I ended up working for Sharp Business Systems because they bought out Saratoga Technologies.
Sharp.
Sharp
Okay.
Business Systems. So it's like the business arm of Sharp Electronics,
Oh,
which
okay.
is what most people are
Yeah.
familiar with.
Yeah.
And so the Sharp Business Systems provides technology basically for businesses in every capacity. And so, stayed on with that company for several years and I got to do the whole community relations side of it, but then COVID
Hmm.
happened and everybody's job responsibilities shifted, as far as like who needed to do what. And thankfully, I wasn't one that got laid off, but that meant that my responsibilities
Yeah.
changed. Um, and so the opportunity came up because YWCA was a customer of Saratoga a long time ago
Oh,
and then
okay.
stayed on as a customer. And so the opportunity came up for the communications and fund development position. And it just seemed like the right fit and
Hmm.
been there. I can't believe it's been almost 2.5 years now.
Hmm. And so like what wakes you up in the morning to get excited about what you're working on at YWCA?
So since there and most people in nonprofit know there's never a down season. There's
Mhm.
never time to catch your breath. There's always something going on. And so what I tell myself is I actually read this on something, so I have it on a post-it note because fun fact about me is I have narcolepsy. And I'm only sharing
Oh,
that because
really?
I'm usually people's unicorn.
Okay.
I get a lot of I've never met anybody. You're the first person, and it gives them some sort of like excitement. So I was just trying to see if that would do that for you all, but I'm
Well,
getting
that's
zero excitement on this end.
do you want excitement? That's
No,
very
and
interesting.
it's
I haven't met somebody with narcolepsy.
yeah, I'm your
Um,
unicorn. But
yeah.
so waking up in the morning is really hard. So it's
Okay.
important to have that. Other than the 4-year old being like, I'm not sleepy anymore. I want to
Yeah.
wake up. And so it's the who will be affected if I don't. Like it's a blank will be affected if I don't do blank.
Mhm.
And that's really been a motivator for me. Like last week, if I don't get up and start working on this grant, then our Tech Girls program is going to be affected.
Mhm.
Um, but really, I get to see the other programs making the impact. And for me, it's like they can't do that if we don't have partners or supporters come alongside us.
Mhm.
And that's where I feel like I add the value because I am almost a serial connector.
Mhm.
It's I immediately am thinking, oh, I can help them. If someone tells me a need, I'm like, oh, I know this person, this person, this person, this person.
Mhm.
Even you all with the Gumbel properties,
Mhm.
our niece that works for a law firm. They have people coming and going that they're trying to bring on at the firm.
Mhm.
Immediately, when I learned about what you do, I
Mhm.
tried to stay engaged in the conversation, but I was like, oh, I can't wait to give this information because this will
Yeah.
help them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in my position, being able to connect those dots,
Mhm.
whether it's individuals wanting volunteer opportunities because they are retired and they want to
Mhm.
give back, or someone who was helped through challenging times in their life, wanting to give back, or organizations who want to connect their employees to other
Mhm.
nonprofits. So for me, that's what I love happening. And I love helping other people too.
Mhm.
Just finding, and that's what I love about Summit is that God owns the pie or the bakery, I
Mhm.
guess it is that, you know, we can all help each other in some way. It's
Mhm.
not, oh, you know, if they don't donate for us, that's what matters. It's like, no, you know, people who are passionate about what we do will come along and
Mhm.
I mean, we have so many amazing animal shelters in the area, you
Mhm.
know, and while YWCA has a ton of programs to where I feel like someone could always find something to relate to give back to.
Mhm.
Um, we don't support animals in that way. So it's like having the
Yeah.
connection of, oh, you're passionate about helping animals.
Mhm.
You can help these people, you know, eventually maybe the gumball farms will be in existence. And
No,
Brian's
but
like, no,
we already yeah, we already have a name that if we ever came up with any kind of a farm or something, we'd call it Your Mom's Farm.
that's amazing.
Yeah. We're gonna make merch. We're just gonna start with the merch, right? Yeah, right now. I just solidified it. It is solidified in
I'm
time.
excited. Yeah. What,
Because how awesome would that be to have a
31st?
t-shirt? It's like Your Mom's Farm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, for
Yeah.
all the reasons.
Yeah.
It would I foresee this happening as like as good of marketing as Bucky's. Think about the Bucky's phenomenon. People are, you know, the little Beaver gas
Mhm.
station. I've never
Yeah.
even been to one,
Oh, you
and I
haven't?
know what Bucky's is.
Yeah.
Sloan hasn't been to one. She has a Bucky's stuffed animal and a
Mhm.
Bucky's t-shirt, you
Mhm.
know? So your mom's farms could totally get on that wave.
The
It's the
f-
culture.
yeah, that's Bucky's is such a it's not that even that far. It's such a crazy example that and to read his story too, I don't know if you've read
No, I've
the
not
owner's
read it.
story, is that he was like, what is the worst place and the most unenjoyable for everybody? A gas station.
Mhm.
God bless gas station owners. I'm not saying anything against them. I'm just saying, like, statistically, everybody knows gas stations are not like generally going to be your cleanest or
Because they know that you
whatever.
need them and you have to stop anyways, so it's
Yes.
like that bar is
Yeah.
really low.
Yeah. And so he was like, okay, well, I think that I can make gas stations. I'm going to completely transform it and have a super clean bathroom. I'm going to have a ton of food options and I'm going to make it like no other gas station ever.
A little beaver
And so,
mascot.
yeah, so it's like some guy just
It's
decided to
so
literally
brilliant.
transform gas stations. And you know what? Totally true. I mean, we do a lot of road trips because of family being whatever and around. And then there's Sevierville, because that's how you say it, right? It's not Sevierville, it's Sevierville.
We actually knew a guy from, France that we worked with, and he would say Sevaville. So now we
Oh,
actually say Sevaville.
yeah, very French,
So
very
you can
fancy.
say it that way too.
Okay, all right.
Sevaville.
Sevierville. I like Sevierville. That's
Severville.
like,
I
yeah,
don't think I've actually heard that.
yeah. Well, I've seen it on a
I've
shirt.
heard
That's why.
Murrayville.
Yeah, Murrayville. Yep. It's like it's crazy to go there because you know that you're gonna get the gas is inexpensive also. You're gonna be able to get a snack. You're gonna have a super clean bathroom. Like it's just hilarious. And then you get to people watch
Mhm.
because there's like so many people there all the time. And no matter what, it's 24 hours a day. But it's just funny when people have those dreams of taking doing the job like Mike Rowe of
Mhm.
like finding the dirty job, finding the job that people don't want to do. Like this guy took dirty gas stations and completely transformed it. But did you know that in Tennessee now, Dolly is doing the same thing? She's coming up with her own brand of like convenient gas store, like type, just like Bucky's. And I don't know what she's going to call it, but it's just going to be here in Tennessee.
That's amazing.
It's
I'm just
hilarious.
like, what would she call it?
I mean, Dolly.
Dolly's Tanks?
I don't
Maybe
know about
not.
that.
But also, if she were to allow cigarette sales there, she could call them the Parton Carton.
Oof. That's a good one. The
I
Parton.
don't necessarily think she would endorse that, but sorry, Dolly.
Well, she might not, but it's just hilarious. So it's like prime example of that is
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
Buc-ee's. But
I would go out of my way to go to a Dolly Parton gas station.
I feel like a lot of people, especially here, like
Mhm.
we love our Dolly.
Well, the way that she gives back is it's just incredible.
Hmm.
I don't know, were you all living here whenever the fires in Gatlinburg happened?
No,
Have
what year was that?
ugh,
We
several.
didn't move here until 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone is a perfect example. So there were wildfires that happened in Gatlinburg. I mean, there's speculations, and maybe they've even decided what happened. But what she did for the people and families and businesses, you should look it up. It was
Okay.
just that alone in itself is an incredible testimony of her huge heart.
She did a lot for the hurricane though too.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've talked about this to people before, especially having friends and family that aren't here. A lot of people had no idea how we were affected um, in Tennessee. They didn't know that this was even hit or on the
Right.
map. They're like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just Asheville, or you hear about some of the places that really got
North Carolina.
rocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Dolly did a lot too for families and stuff, which is just really
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy how the community came together for that. Crazy in a good way because I just feel like a lot of other communities people would just freak out and they would just seclude
Mm-hmm.
and kind of get self-absorbed into like what happened to me, whatever, like, this is a travesty. And they would just live in that tragedy forever and
Mm-hmm.
they would let it define them. And I really feel like the Appalachian people and everything here in like East Tennessee, like everybody was like, I lost my house, but what do you need?
Right.
Or
Exactly.
you wouldn't even know, like, what do you need? And then be like, here you go. And then you'd find out that they lost their house and you're like, wait, what? What about
Or
you?
they
What do you
literally
need?
lost everything, but they still have their four-wheeler, and so they're
Yeah.
the ones that are literally risking their life to take
Yeah.
water to the other people.
Yeah, yeah, it was so cool to see and be a part of that, like, and to be able to help, and it was just a different time.
And what's crazy is, to piggyback on just our community in general, it's like all those donations came in for, essentials,
Mhm.
and the Bristol Motor Speedway stepped in and
Yeah,
basically became like the warehouse hub.
yeah,
So then once places were getting the items, after months and months later, they just had all this influx
mhm,
of all these items that were donated from across the nation.
mhm,
Then they would reach out to other local nonprofits to see if like YWCA
yeah,
needed diapers for the Moms R Us program, and I just think that's really cool too, is
mhm.
to share those opportunities.
Yeah, that is cool. I went on the mission encounter at YWCA, like, I don't even know what month that
I think
was.
it was last
Everything
July,
I don't think it was
June,
that long ago.
September,
Was it? I feel like
October.
it was fall.
We'll go with September.
Okay, that seems like a good time. It was
Did you come
cool.
before? Did you go to the mission encounter before or after our luncheon? Because the luncheon was in August. I feel like you came before.
Oh my gosh, the luncheon was that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
It was before.
Yeah, so maybe July,
Oh, okay.
June.
Okay. And it was really cool to because I had never heard of YWCA either. I've heard of the YMCA. My
Mm-hmm.
parents worked for the YMCA when they were growing up. And I was like, YWCA, yeah, okay, must be Young Women's Christian Association or something. I just assumed just because it's
Of what
literally
it,
one
yeah.
letter different. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So I went to the mission encounter and then to be able to get the tour and, for obviously safety reasons, we were able to go down the hallway of
Mm-hmm.
like the daycare, but obviously like we couldn't go in the rooms. But it was just really cool to see the kids and see them interacting with the teachers and just to see all of their art on display, to see what they were doing, to see like the playground outside. And then I think the tech girls maybe were there. So we didn't
Oh,
get
you
to
didn't get to go
go. We didn't
in.
get to go in because we didn't want to like disrupt their flow and the things that they were doing. But then to walk by and see the Moms R Us program. And there was a woman there when I was there that actually went through the Moms R Us.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and she was like, I went through this program. I want to volunteer. And so it was like really cool to be there with somebody that was like, I went through this. And it was like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. And then to go like through everything and like I was like, oh, okay, this is like completely different than what I was thinking. But that's why encounter exists is
Exactly.
to be like, "Oh, all right."
We do those,
Um,
once a month, and it is
yeah.
because, we could just, like I did earlier, rattle off the programs and rattle
Mhm.
off why we exist, but I feel like it's one of those things that you don't I mean, I know I did until I worked there. You
Mhm.
don't fully wrap your head around and even saying, like, economic empowerment or empowerment. I feel like empowerment is one of those words that it's like you feel like you kinda know what it means, but
Yeah.
what does it actually mean?
Well, I feel like a lot of words have been completely, like, bastardized for
Mhm.
lack of a better word. I know that's
Right.
not the best word either. But I feel like they have, especially in this day and age, a lot of words have been like raked over the coals, taken, spit out, chewed, and meant to mean something else. And so I think a
Exactly.
lot of times, even empowerment might be one of those words where it's like, when I hear that word at first, I'm like, oh, gosh, I feel like
It's almost
that's,
abrasive or, like,
yeah,
forceful or
because
something.
I feel like it's been used as a tool
Mhm.
in a negative way for too long.
Exactly.
And so like sometimes it's like, oh, and you hear it, and it's like, oh, I don't want to hear that word. But then it's like, wait a minute,
What does it actually
what does
mean?
it really mean?
And what does it look like? And
Yeah,
that's what I liked about, we had we did the coffee and connections for that summit, and that's
yeah,
why, we tried to set up the props throughout the room of what our empowerment looks like, and it's
hmm,
year long. And even if it's not through one of our programs, um, we do activities all year. That's
hmm,
also goes back to trying to empower them. And, even something as small as our annual prom dress sale,
hmm.
which I love. And we take donations year round. So if you're
Okay,
trying to clean out your closet, get rid
yep,
of some prom dresses, it's a great opportunity to do that. But really removing barriers. I feel like that's part of empowerment too, is
hmm,
removing barriers. And unless you've gone through it yourself, and maybe if you've gone through it, you
yeah,
can't vocalize or pinpoint like what was that barrier or how did I get through it?
hmm,
Just went from surviving that moment and moving
yeah,
on. And so even something as simple as like the prom dress sale is how do we remove the barriers so that all girls have the opportunity to
yeah,
have a beautiful dress and feel like they're in the same place as their friends.
hmm.
So it's like the dresses are $25 a dress, but if they can't afford it, they can volunteer for 2 hours and get a free dress.
Oh, that's cool.
Or others can volunteer for them and
Hmm,
get a dress. And then we also have donors who donate that are like, if you have someone who can't afford it, just give them a dress.
hmm,
And then we actually offer free women's self-defense classes.
hmm.
And so that's in partnership with the Bristol, Tennessee Police
Oh,
Department.
cool.
So just another way of, going with the health and safety component.
Hmm,
We do our MLK Children's Community Day every year, which is really just to help, teach about legacy and how we can all use our voices going forward
hmm,
to share love and make a difference.
hmm.
Um, Even our tribute to women, which I was talking about
Yeah.
earlier, so and deep in the middle of we're in our 35th year of tribute
Hmm,
to women, and it's all about really recognizing women in our region that are doing incredible things that are almost like the unsung heroes.
hmm,
And while we've had women that are in executive positions be honored, it's also we've had school teachers, we've had bookkeepers from churches, we've
hmm,
had the woman working at your library, like it's
hmm,
literally across all professions, all walks of life,
hmm,
and just really recognizing them. And we've had several women that have told us that once they've become an award recipient, it's encouraged them or empowered them to do things that they wouldn't have done before that because of that recognition and how special, and it made them see themselves in a way
hmm.
that others see them, but like they didn't have the confidence or really think about being able to do the things that they could do.
Do they get voted?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's actually like local individuals can't nominate people, but it's local churches, groups, businesses can nominate someone, female, and they just have to live or work in our 21 counties because the YWCA actually covers 21 counties. And then we every year get 3 new out of state judges who are women in their communities doing incredible things, which is also really fun.
Hmm,
And they feel so honored to get to be a part of that. And then they actually, because we want to keep it as non-biased as possible, which is
hmm,
why we have the out of state judges. And they actually get all of the nominations that were submitted, and they do a ranking, and then they submit their scoring, and then we compile their rankings, and that's how the award recipients are chosen. And over the years, it's different. It's differed on like the categories and the number of, you know, award recipients. But
Mhm.
every year, it really is about focusing on just um, elevating women doing just incredible things.
Now, the YWCA also owns the train station, right? Or do they not
So
in downtown Bristol,
that's
which is a stinking awesome train station.
it is gorgeous.
So beautiful.
And funny thing is, I don't think I'd ever been in there until I worked at YWCA. So YWCA actually has social enterprises, and that's what so Bristol train station
Mhm.
is one of our social enterprises. We
Okay.
don't own it, but we
Okay.
manage it.
Oh, okay.
And so, as part of that, us managing it, a percentage actually goes right back to supporting our programming. We do own the Bristol Bridal Station,
Okay.
which is also a social enterprise of ours. And that's another thing that I think is empowering in itself is
Mhm.
that we get brand new designer gowns donated from salons across the nation who are trying to move their inventory because they have new designs coming in. And
Mhm.
so it's great for them because they can get a $40,000 tax write off.
Yeah.
We get brand new dresses that I would try to rattle off the designer names that other people know that I don't. And the cool thing is that the most expensive dress I think that we have is still only like $900.
Mhm.
And that dress I think is usually a 10,000 plus dollar dress.
Mhm.
And so it's women getting to get amazing brand new dresses
Mhm.
at affordable rates. And then also knowing because 100% of those sales go right back to YWCA programming.
Mhm.
I wish I would have known about it
Mhm.
and that's another one of those best kept secrets because
Yeah.
it was definitely around when I was, um,
Dress shopping.
yeah, dress shopping. And so that's another thing we love to spread the word about is
Yeah.
try to find your dress there if you
Yeah.
can.
For sure. Anybody listening getting
Yeah,
married. Yeah.
exactly.
We actually just had a friend at church get engaged, so we'll have to tell her to check that out. Maybe she knows.
But you would
Maybe
be
she doesn't.
surprised because
Yeah.
I'm born and raised Kingsport and
Yeah.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell her. That is great because I mean, you don't know where to go after. I mean, I didn't have a traditional wedding dress, so I can't. Mine was pink.
I thought it
It
was
was like
beautiful.
this. It was like Dusty Rose. It was like the 80s.
Makes me think of Still Magnolias when she's like, my colors are blush and bashful. And she says, your colors are pink and pink.
Yes. Blush. I mean, that literally, yes, for sure. That's the color that my dress was
Wasn't
like.
bashful, it was blush.
Well, I call it Dusty Rose, which
Oh, there
is
you go.
very 80s as well. But like, yeah, I didn't go
I
for a
think there's a blush
traditional,
shade called Dusty Rose.
probably. I mean, it makes sense. It's perfect.
I just saw a dusty sage. So I think dusty is the word you put in front of certain colors.
But sage would be green. So it'd be, yeah, like what?
Yeah, but dusty rose, dusty sage.
Yeah.
In case you just wanted to get on like the dusty color
Yeah.
theme.
The Dusty Train.
Yeah, the dusty train. That could
Um,
also be a good farm name, by the way.
Dusty Train.
Yeah.
That's not a bad one. It's not as good as your
Your
mom's,
mom, yeah,
though.
you can't top that.
Yeah. As long as somebody else now doesn't take
Oh,
that.
you have a farm?
Much.
Yeah, it's your mom's.
Yeah. Come down to your mom's farm and get some stuff,
Where did you get this
whatever.
from? Oh, your mom's farm.
Yeah. Your mom gave it to me.
Listen, I when that happens, I will be one of your biggest like walking billboards.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just
I don't
easy.
wear hats. I might even wear a hat for that.
Why don't you wear hats?
This big melon head, it just does
No.
not work
So,
unless it's a sun hat, like a floppy hat.
a floppy hat.
So get a your mom's farm floppy hat,
Yeah.
a farmer's floppy hat, and then I would wear it.
All right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
We'll get it done.
I
Your
love it.
mom.
I'm
Your mom's
excited.
farm.
I can't wait.
So, are there other YWCAs around, or like the country? Because I never heard of it
Yes.
till I was here.
So we actually are all over the nation.
Okay.
The closest one, and that's so in 2018, we went from being YWCA Bristol to YWCA Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia.
Which is like 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I'm like, can we just abbreviate?
Yeah. SWVANE. No, wait.
NETN
Yeah.
and
Ugh,
SWVA.
gosh. Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
actually be shorter than Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia.
Yeah.
But the closest YW in Virginia is Lynchburg, I think.
Okay.
And then the closest one from here is Knoxville or Asheville. So we do have sister associations there.
Okay.
And then they literally across the United States and it's international. At
Oh, that's
the
cool.
Coffee and Connections that we hosted at Summit,
Mhm.
I got to talk with a lady who is very involved with the YWCA in Africa.
Oh, wow.
There's a strong presence of YWCA there. And the cool thing about, and I heard this maybe week one when we had somebody from the national level come do a training with us. They talked about how if you've seen one YWCA, you've seen one YWCA.
Mhm.
And while the YMCA is an incredible organization,
Mhm.
you kind of know what you're going to walk into when you go to a YMCA.
Mhm.
And I think that with YWCA, very in tune with what the community needs are.
Mhm.
And while there are some programs that are similar across other YWCAs, it is like what programming is needed to meet those unmet needs in our community.
Mhm.
And a fun fact about our YWCA is it actually was established in 1943 as a women's residency
Mm.
during World War II for like literally our Appalachian Rosie the Riveters.
Yeah.
And so then from that was how like the childcare component came about because these
Mhm.
women were coming to work and then kind of stayed living in this area. So
Yeah.
then where do their children go? And since then, we've had all different kinds of programs. We even used to have like a domestic violence program, and then the funding got pulled as a lot of grant funded programs that happens with. But we have incredible community partners that then now we can refer to them like Branch House, for example, which I
Mhm.
think is another thing I love about YWCA is just the collaboration.
Mhm. How can people get in touch if they want to volunteer or if they have a business that they want to be able to donate or do things? Where do they go?
Absolutely. So, our website's probably the best way, and or calling us. There's an email listed on there. There's a phone number. Our
What is the
Facebook.
website?
So it's ywcatnva.org.
Okay.
Lots of letters,
No
but less.
dashes or anything?
Mm-mm, no
Okay.
dashes. And then our Facebook page is actually, I think, one of the best ways to keep up with what's going on.
Okay.
And we do a monthly wish list. So we ask all of our programs, like, what are your main needs right now?
Mhm.
And so every month, like the April one, they just finalized, we'll post on there. And it's anything from crayons for childcare to hygiene products for tech girls to nursing materials for teen moms. I mean,
Mhm.
it's across the board, and I think that's what's cool too is that there's so many ways that people can help.
Mhm.
Donate, like monetary donations are
Mhm.
amazing. That's what sustains us, but
Mhm.
also essential item donations that we take, and
Mhm.
we constantly have volunteer opportunities at the bridal station
Mhm.
which people wouldn't think about. And if you love Say Yes to the Dress show, please come, be a bridal consultant with us.
Is that show still on?
I don't know, actually.
It's probably on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, you can probably
People, yeah.
watch episodes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that show in forever. That's funny that you said that. I forgot that it existed till this moment.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, we have the Say Yes to the Dress photos that we'd post on the bridal station's Facebook where people would say yes to us.
Oh, that's fun.
But so we have volunteers always needed for that. We have events that we regularly need volunteers for.
Mhm.
And then we have consistent volunteer needs. And I would love to get more partnerships with local employers of
Okay.
how we can connect with their employee giving. We actually just were blessed as being a recipient for the Hard Rock Team Dining Rewards program,
Cool.
which is really cool that they do that every month. So they have, I guess, a cafeteria or their dining system. And so if employees eat there, that money goes to the selected nonprofit for the month.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it was us, Imagination Library, and Big Brother, Big Sisters, I want to
Okay.
say, or I can't believe I just read that and I can't. But anyways, that was who benefited from the month of February, and we got our check was like 11,600, and so it's really cool that they do that. But finding more businesses that we can partner with too,
Okay. Well, that's cool. We
and
can
since I'm
yeah,
the
fun, not fund.
fun, I'm
Well,
always a great
it's
resource.
funny because it ties into the next word though, because that's the D. That's
Yeah.
where the D can
See,
come in.
oh, why did I miss that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna change it.
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna
just
change it in my
moves.
signature and see if anybody notices.
They're not gonna notice.
Listen, if anybody notices it, I'll try to get you 10% off at the bridal station.
You should get on the t-shirt a fun and then isn't it director?
Manager.
Oh, dang it. I thought it was a
I
D right
know.
after it.
It's development. So it could
Yeah,
be
fun and then dot development. And
maybe I
then
just
there's
leave
your
it at fun
D.
development. I don't think I even need a name after that. Just communications and fun development.
Yeah, on the back of a shirt and you
Yeah,
just walk around with that. That's you.
that's me.
Yeah.
Also, a tagline that says we're friends now.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
Yup. I haven't seen that movie in years either. That's a good one.
That's a really good one. So
Yeah,
many one liners.
I know. Tons of one-liners.
Now I'm just going to be thinking about the one liners for your mom's farm
Why give it to us?
because, I mean, just there's so many possibilities.
What? In what? There is? You just looked it up?
I mean, I will say I was surprised that that hasn't happened.
Well, I'm
What
sure there's
about
more than one.
what about your other mom's farm? Your mom's other farm. You
Ooh.
could call it your mom's other farm.
You Yeah, I was just gonna make a really bad joke and call it your never mind. I'm not even gonna say it. It's terrible. It's a terrible joke. Um, so can I ask you a question about your narcolepsy?
Yeah.
Is that something because I've never met anybody with
I mean, I was the one who
narcolepsy.
brought it up, so it's fair game.
How how do how does that affect daily life? Because I mean, when you see like narcolepsy, or you see it in the movies or anything, it's like, oh,
So it's
it's like,
definitely
oh,
if you've
I'm in
seen
the middle
Rat
of
Race
combo. Yeah,
or
yeah, that's right. Ah, that's right,
Mr.
Mr.
Bean.
Bean.
Funny story about that. So it's more common for people to develop it like middle age. And so
Interesting.
I had it as early, looking back, I had symptoms as early as 8th grade, but it was, like
Huh.
the falling asleep, not being able to stay awake. But the key thing is falling asleep and not knowing you fell asleep and then waking up and picking up like you had never fallen asleep.
Huh.
Um, and so I would go in freshman year of high school, we would stand on the risers during chorus practice. I would fall asleep standing up, never fall, thankfully.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a higher chance of falling when I'm awake than I do asleep because I'm so clumsy. And then I would just wake up and be like right back to singing. And my sophomore year of high school, and I would go to study my notes for a test, and you
Mhm.
could see exactly where I had fallen asleep
Hmm.
because I would be legible and then like scribble, scroll, scroll, legible. But like I would just wake up and just keep writing and I'd have no idea.
Interesting.
And when I was my sophomore year of high school, I was in my Spanish 2 class and all of a sudden somebody or my teacher said, "Have you ever considered getting checked for narcolepsy?" Because I guess I mean, from a teacher standpoint, you could see it
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's narcolepsy?" And this guy in my class goes, "Oh, like Mr. Bean from Rat Race." And so that's when I made the connection. So I went home that day and I was like, "Mom, Senor Allen thinks that I need to be checked for narcolepsy." And so we went down that path and sure enough. And so so I'm on 3 different medicines for it. And
Okay.
I guess that was like 17, 18. Oh gosh, over 20 years ago.
Okay.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't talk about
just
it.
kidding.
Yeah.
Rewind. That I was diagnosed. So it's been a lot of, managing the medicine once we get it. But it was funny because so my husband and I will be celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary this year. Thank
Congratulations.
you. But we'll have actually been together for 20 years. And it wasn't our first date, even though it'd be funny, but we were on our way going down Boone's Creek, which is kind of a straight road
Hmm.
once you get off the interstate, heading to downtown Jonesboro to visit his mom. And it hadn't come up in conversation yet of, hey, by the way, I have narcolepsy. And so we were just having, chatting it up. And then all of a sudden I wake up to him screaming and shaking me
Oh my
because we were in
gosh.
mid conversation
Yeah.
and I'd fallen
He
asleep.
got
And so he
terrified.
pulled over and he thought I'd died.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, by the way, did I not tell you? And that's why pregnancy was really
Mm,
challenging. We tried for a long time and didn't think we were ever going to have kids, and
mm,
then God blessed us with having Sloan. And so part of the thing about people not being diagnosed, at least, is
yeah.
that usually by the time it hits them, it's later on in life and they've already had children and don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
So I couldn't be on any of my medicine.
Mm.
So thankfully I had an easy pregnancy other than the narcolepsy, because I couldn't drive, I
Yeah.
couldn't, and so we would love for Sloan to have a sibling, but it would need to be through adoption because you can't work and have a 4-year-old and not be able to drive. So
Yeah.
that's the fun part of that about that. But you can also have hallucinations if you have
Mm.
narcolepsy.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of any other fun facts about it, but certain medications like affect you differently. Things that would make you tired, or some people tired, it can actually like wire me up,
Okay.
or what should give me energy. Thankfully, coffee works like it's supposed to.
Are there any triggers for you of like things that you have to stay away from because you know that's gonna
Sometimes,
set you?
well, like I don't do gluten
Mhm.
or rice or oats. So if you're out there listening and you have narcolepsy and you're still consuming gluten or rice or oats,
Hmm.
stop it today. It'll change your life.
Why?
Because so the gluten can make it's just like really foggy,
Yeah.
and I mean it hurts my inflammation too.
Mhm.
And I hadn't actually put the two and two together about the oats and rice until I did Whole 30. I don't know if you guys know about it's like that
Mhm.
clean eating
Yeah.
diet. And so you gradually introduce, because at that point I had already cut out gluten for the most part because of inflammation reasons.
Mhm.
And but I still ate oats and rice. And especially if you do store-bought gluten-free things, that's
Mhm.
usually rice or oats.
Mhm.
And so I was doing the gradual reintroducing. My first time having rice, I fell asleep almost instantly.
Mm.
I was like, huh, that's weird. And because I love sushi,
Mhm.
I could eat 30 rolls in one sitting.
Yeah.
Love half off sushi.
Yeah.
Um,
Where? Wait, what? Half off sushi where?
oh, so many places in this area do it
Okay, we'll have to get the list from you because we love sushi and that's one thing that we haven't ventured into since we moved
locally.
here yet. Yeah. So that's another side note. But go
Okay.
ahead.
Um,
Rice sushi.
See, my brains are like, where is it? Did I tell you a lie? No, I know it does exist. And so a couple of other times I started putting, and I'm like, oh, that's really weird. I get so sleepy.
Hmm.
And then, so that's when I realized it. And then at church, they had gotten, because I can't do dairy either.
Okay.
And so they had gotten me cauliflower or like gluten-free pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to pull over on the interstate and take a nap because it hit me so instantly.
Wow.
And that's when I found out about it. That one was either rice or oats. And then I'd eaten a bowl of oatmeal because oatmeal is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I instantly fell asleep. Well, I'm on these narcolepsy Facebook support groups,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times people will come on and say, hey, recently diagnosed. What are your suggestions? And I'll usually go on there and tell them about food. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is what I've found works. And so at that point, I didn't know there was a correlation with the narcolepsy thing. I was just like, hey, I figured this out for me. And I said rice and oats. And someone commented saying that when they cut that out, it changed the trajectory of their life. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, so I guess and I don't know if it's
Interesting.
just American made, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do. I was gonna ask you that
So
actually.
I haven't tried imported
Okay.
because I do think a lot of it has to do with the processing.
For sure. Because it was 2011 for me for gluten, and I was just like super lethargic. And
Hmm.
I was living in Oregon at the time, and so I went to a doctor, and they were like, "Dude, it's gonna cost you several $100s to get this test. So before we do that, just stop eating it and see how you feel." And I was like, "Okay." So
Yeah.
then I stopped eating gluten, and I was like, Psh,
Yeah. I'm done.
monumentally better. But it's funny because I have had like a friend of mine is a really big sourdough maker. And like I've learned to make it quite a few times, but like I can't, it's a lot.
Hmm.
I don't have time for that. But she made us a loaf of gluten-free bread, or no, a loaf of sourdough. And she was like, I want you to try this because I'm very curious because it's not gluten-free. But she got the flour. It was from like Italy or something. And
Hmm.
she's like, I want you to try a bite. And I was like, okay. And I was fine. Like it didn't hit me like other things. And so sometimes there's sourdough because of the way that it's
Hmm.
made and fermented and it's so much healthier for you than regular bread, plus there's only a few ingredients. So then sometimes I can do sourdough and I am completely fine, which is very interesting. But I mean, it's all in the
And so my
quality.
sister-in-law has gotten into making the sourdough, and my boss, who's gluten-free,
Mhm.
I'm my boss's dough diller, I guess,
Oh,
because
okay. A duller.
a diller.
Yeah.
I actually helped them make up it's not an official business,
Yeah.
but it's Journey sourdough
Okay.
from starter to finish.
Ah,
That you get it, yeah.
yeah. I
And
could use
so
some. I could use some. I need to get back into it again.
and she makes sourdough cookies. That's what my daughter eats half of one a day with fruit
Ah.
because the stuff they market for children's breakfast,
Yeah.
at least I know what's going in this,
Mhm.
and it's good for your gut, vitamin gummy, and her fruit. That's
Mhm.
what she gets. And she'll eat it. But she makes sourdough cookies. And so my boss, who normally can't do gluten, she can do her
Mhm.
sourdough breads. Because even when you get like store-bought sourdough, you still don't really know what's
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
And my boss hasn't had any issues with
Yeah.
the sourdough bread or the sourdough cookies. I did try it. And so for me, gluten, a lot of people will have the stomach issues.
Mhm.
Mine was more the pain in my joints and my muscles
Interesting.
from like head to toe inflammation, lethargic, things like
Mhm.
that. Well, when I did the sourdough, I didn't have those, but I had the stomach stuff.
Hmm.
So that was interesting
Yeah.
too, but not bad enough to not want to eat it like once a month.
Yeah. I mean, it's sour. It's
Yeah.
like the best bread ever, next to like pumpernickel and
Yeah.
but which
So
I haven't had
it is
tried.
fascinating.
So that's really interesting. So then you're on 3 different meds and it's like evening out for you right
Hmm.
now? Okay. All
I'll
right.
have, and well, so I say the sourdough doesn't affect me. The other night, last night, I couldn't figure. I started lately. I've been like almost falling asleep again, which
Mhm.
isn't common because I'm on so much medicine for it.
Mhm.
And I was trying to put two and two together, and then it hit me. I had been eating the sourdough cookies,
Oh,
so I bet that's what it is.
and it just
It makes,
overstimulates your
hmm
medicine and you just
I guess, but
okay.
it's like the uncontrollable
Mhm.
falling asleep.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be able to just fall asleep standing up.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's more like when you're driving that makes me nervous
Hmm.
for you. Um, that, that would just be really scary to have that happen. But you have the wherewithal to pull off on the side of the road and be like,
Yes.
okay, this is difficult.
At least the medicine gives you enough of a window.
Yeah. Well, and that must be difficult and hard to travel though, too, because once again,
It's like a 2-hour max.
well, and just knowing like, or going out and ordering food or things like that, like once again, it can be hard. And so if there's
Mhm.
something in there and you take a bite and you see rice, it's like, oh, dang it.
Yeah,
There's rice in this, And it's like,
and
well,
every
all
now and
right.
then, I'll get a wild hair, and I'll be like, let's just see if things have changed," and then it
Right.
won't be,
Okay.
like sushi.
Yeah.
Or if I know I wanna do that, then I just have to know for, like, the next 3 days. I
Mhm.
can't really plan anything.
Is it genetic or do they know how people
I
develop
don't know because
narcolepsy?
ironically, I swear my mom's narcoleptic
Okay.
because she can fall asleep at the drop of a hat,
Mhm.
but we all she just says that, it's because she gives all of her cares to God, which is true.
Mhm.
But, like, she'll fall asleep before her head hits the pillow.
Ditto. Me too.
And, but my sister's 17 years older than me. She had some testing done, and she has the narcoleptic gene.
Hmm.
So maybe it is genetic.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't. Can you look that up, Brian? Is narcolepsy genetic? I am that way as well. Poor Brian does not. It takes him forever to fall asleep, and the second I'm out. I'm totally out. And I remember like growing up. Gosh, I think I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, and my friends used to make fun of me for that because like at a sleepover.
Yeah,
Like
you
they
know
would
what?
want to
You
have
might be
fun and
narcoleptic.
whatever. And then they would look over at me and I'd just be like, but one time my friends timed it. They were like, okay, let's go to bed. Good night, everybody. And they secretly weren't. And then they hit a timer and it wasn't even 2 minutes and I was
That's so
asleep. And then
impressive.
they woke me up and they were like, you jerk. And I was like, what?
You said it was we're going to
Yeah,
bed.
what? I'm sorry. Just going to bed. But it's like, it was just really
So
funny.
are you able to read books?
When
Like,
I,
are you able to stay awake and read?
no, at
Yeah.
night, no, game over.
Or, she might be narcoleptic.
I don't know. I just think, what is it?
It says yes, narcolepsy has genetic component, but it is not purely hereditary and typically requires both genetic susceptibility and environmental triggers to manifest.
Interesting. I don't think the microphone can pick you up, but it's so, wow. I don't even know how to paraphrase that.
It can be genetic, but doesn't have to be, and there's
Yeah.
other triggers environmentally.
Well, I just think, that's the hard part of all, like these days and age, like, we have young kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and owning a business and doing all these things. Like, I'm done. I'm tapped out at the end of the night. I take my melatonin 30 minutes before bed and I'm just, phew, I'm done. I'm just really tired.
I haven't
But
tried the melatonin because I don't know how it would do.
yeah,
My daughter can't do melatonin.
yeah, we actually
It's
stopped it.
unfortunate.
We stopped it for our boys because they were waking up in the middle of the night. They were waking up consistently at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then we were like, what the heck is going on? And so we stopped their melatonin and they sleep through the night.
Have you tried the
So
non-melatonin ones? Because I bought a batch. A batch. Have you tried the non-melatonin?
it's like you got it from your dealer. I bought a
Yeah, my
batch,
dealer.
I know there's some.
Well, I was gonna say I'll give
But
you what because so when we tried the melatonin, because Sloan has such a hard time going to sleep. I mean,
mhm,
her little brain is just like wow,
mhm,
and that's even without all the technology. Imagine what she would be like on technology.
yeah.
And so we tried melatonin a couple different times just to see if what was happening was bizarre. But she gets like hysterically emotional,
Mm,
and so we looked it up. So then I tried. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get non-melatonin
yeah.
to see if that helps. And hysterically emotional, like real quick. And so
Mm,
when I looked it up, it's more about a lot of times they can be more sensitive to the sudden feeling of going to sleep. So their body's trying to fight it.
mm,
And it's like, why am I so sleepy all of a sudden? So let me just fight it.
yeah.
Whereas most people would be like, oh, this is heavenly. Let me go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so we're not doing that with her anymore either.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our Levi, our second, takes a long time to fall asleep. Judah falls asleep the second his head hits the
Yeah.
pillow, just like me. So we just chalk it up to Levi being more like
Yeah.
Brian. And we're like, well, sorry, dude. That's
You and your dad can just talk about the ways of
you guys
life,
can just hang out and deal
stare at
with
the
all the things
ceiling,
in your brain, and the rest of us will just
count
go to bed.
count all the animals that's going to be on your mom's other farm.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Oh, that's funny. Well, I think it's 11. So I think we should probably wrap this up, right?
Yeah.
Um, thank you for
If any
coming.
narcoleptics out there, they've already fallen asleep anyways
Yeah.
listening to
Ooh,
this.
ching. Is there anything else that you want to add, or any way if people want to get in touch with you specifically? Or, I mean, I know that you said they can go to the website or Facebook. Even if they're out of state, they can still reach out to the chapter here and be like, hey, I need help locating something in my area.
Yeah, definitely. There is like a YWCA maybe,
Okay.
and you can find where the different associations are located.
Mm-hmm.
And then but we also have people who have moved away from this area but still want to get back to this area,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's a great way. You can easily donate online, because I mean that goes if you donate to our specific YWCA, it stays right in um, our community. But if you donate to YWCA USA, they actually will do grants that if people donate to them, then they'll
Mm-hmm.
divvy it up to other YW associations.
Okay.
And I would love for people to come to Mission Encounters. We still have 4 more before the luncheon in August, and then we'll have more the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So reach out and we can share that schedule.
Cool. Thanks, Mary.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having me. It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah. Ditto. This episode is powered by OutPost Roasters, small batch, high quality coffee with soul. OutPost Roasters in Johnson City specializes in freshly roasted, small batch, ethically sourced, fair trade local coffee. That's what sets them apart from the big guys. They work directly with small farms and co ops to ensure responsible practices and rich, balanced flavor in every single cup. Whether it's early mornings or late nights, their 12-ounce bags deliver bold, smooth coffee at a totally fair price. Head to outpostroastersjc.com to explore their blends and single origins. Outpost Roasters, coffee that's definitely worth waking up for.